let's look at let's look say something that's radioactive in a different way. The recent ad campaign about Balenciaga, right? So if you're going to have people talking about the pros and cons of Balenciaga, you can, and the ads where they had those kids with the teddy bears in bondage, and I want to use words carefully, I can see how a corporation would be like, you know what, we're trying to have a certain image and have a certain platform, and there's certain things that are going to be beyond the pale here. And because they have to be worrying about their advertisers.
I'm okay with that.
The power of corporate America is just absolutely enormous.
There was another story about Balenciaga. They had done similar ad campaigns, and people are saying there's no way that slipped. Like, there's no way they produced an ad and didn't know what they were producing.
I think there's absolutely a way, because this is how. Because I think we forget how dumb suits are. So all it would take would be one art director, and then for him to be like, look, it's arty, it's edgy. The kids were not being shown themselves in any kind of provocative or state of undress. They were just showing iconography, which is very different from like Mapplethorpe, who's in museums where you're showing full frontal on little girls, which got funding. Which you didn't know about the Mapplethorpe thing? This is another example of how the corporate press is just completely dishonest. If you look at articles, Mapplethorpe had funding from the NEA, right, the National Endowment for the Arts. And he was this great photographer. A lot of the photography he was taking was very, very transgressive. It would be like two men, one has a whip somewhere, another one with the razor on his, you know what. And he had, and then Jesse Helms, who was senator at the time, says this is not where our money should be going to, and he was condemned as homophobic. Well, many of these images were literally child pornography. There's one of a little girl with her knee up, flashing her genitals to the camera. But if you read any USA Today, Washington Post article, it really just sounds like you've got two guys kissing and Jesse Helms, the homophobe, has a problem with it. Yeah. So it's completely skewed. Just let me finish. So in terms of Balenciaga, if you look at it, you could be like, oh, it's kids with teddy bears. It's like they're punks. You know, you got this badass thing. You're not going to really read, oh, here's the printout of this lawsuit. Here's what this book entails, so on and so forth.
I disagree. I don't think it's suits missing it. I think the messaging was clear. There's a history of it. And I think there's a reason Balenciaga deleted their Instagram, deleted their Twitter, because people were picking up on more and more and more signs. There's no way that you could see that image and be like, yeah, totally fine, totally okay. There's no way. It was so blatant. It was so in our face. And there was multiple instances.
More than once.
Multiple times where it's just extremely troublesome. And for an executive to look at it and say, oh, teddy bears, BDSM dolls.
The executive
babies laying down in precarious ways. The tape here or this case. There's no way they missed it. I think it was a deliberate sign to just brag about what they were doing. When you look at the fashion industry, they have a long history of being. Let me just finish really quickly. They have a long history of having a lot of Jeffrey Epstein types. Jeffrey Epstein was all in the fashion industry, right. And a lot of the other individuals that were on that client list are still in the fashion industry. Were never held responsible for their crimes, and whether it's running Victoria's Secret, sending out this messaging is not something that is an accident, because they've been doing it for many years, trying to normalize children as models. And a lot of the female models look like young boys. I don't think that's an accident. I think a lot of this is on purpose, because there's a lot of very dark, sinister people in that industry that want to gloat and highlight how bad they are, and they want to get away with it. And this was this representation from what I saw.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you said. What I'm saying is, it's not that they missed it. It's that the suit was like, this isn't my job. You have a photographer. That photographer has a brand name. I'm just the guy, the money guy. I'm going to let him do what he wants. It's not my place to jump in and interject. And basically, in that industry, these people who have brand names, like Balenciaga is a brand name, can basically have free reign to do whatever the heck they want.
They spend millions of dollars on these fashion shoots.
And it worked for them.
Going over every little detail. I mean, the president of the United States literally decides what kind of tie he wants to set a particular mood, to have the particular background. There's no way they're spending millions of dollars on these fashion shoots and not micromanaging every little small element of it.
You're not hearing what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
I don't think it's a suit. I think it was deliberately done, and I think the suits were complicit in it.
Okay, I think a lot of times in big corporations, the responsibility is very much disjointed, and one hand is not knowing what the other hand is doing. And I think the reason why the social media got pulled is because then someone realized, holy crap, otherwise they would have left it up. because they're
Right.
like, this has been going on for a long time. We got to do an analysis to figure out when this started, how many of these iterations are there.
So you think people were like seeding this information into the ad
They definitely
campaigns?
were. It's not even a question.
It's everywhere in our entertainment, especially
Yes.
if you look at Disney, especially if you look at the subliminal, subconscious mind control, which I particularly call it, and the larger kind of degeneracy that is being pushed on the individuals, and even the corporate media, even talking about minor attracted persons. There's a huge agenda when it comes to trying to normalize this kind of debauchery, this kind of horrible behavior that a lot of powerful people inside of the government were committing, especially when they were going to that private island and doing absolutely horrible things to children that they kidnapped.
If you look at the cover of the DVD for The Little Mermaid, if you look at the scene in Aladdin where they're getting married, in the scene in Aladdin, the priest is excited. Let me just put it that way. If you look at the background of The Little Mermaid, one of the towers looks like a certain thing of a male anatomy. My point is, a lot of times these artists will put things that the suit will be oblivious to. That's all. And that's one example where you're not gonna disagree
wasn't
with.
there a movie, The Great Mouse Detective or something, where there was like an actual, they put like porn somewhere in it or something like that? People chatted this to us
There's a
before.
bunch of adult content and wieners all throughout, content for small children. And I think when it comes to these particular cases, we know so little because a lot of this is done in secrecy. We shouldn't be excusing it as an accident. We should always, with the absence of evidence, when we see very sinister people who have a history of hurting small children, always think the worst case possible scenario and demand more evidence. And I think
one's saying
excusing it as, oh, the suits just missed it is an instant or element. I'm sorry if I got your argument wrong.
I'm not saying the suits just missed it. I said in very many cases, how these people work is they will get things past the goalie because the people who are looking don't know what to look for and are oblivious to it. And in fact, the fact that this has been going up, hold on, Ian. Luke's going. Sorry.
No, you hold on.
Sorry. The fact that this has been going on for so long and has only been picked up now speaks to the point that I'm making, that they're very good at getting things on a subliminal level that people aren't going to register. So if you have Balenciaga ads and you have literally tens of thousands of people seeing these ads and they're only getting picked up now, that just speaks to my point that a lot of times the money guy or the accountant or whoever is kind of signing off on this, they're not going to always be aware of what they're seeing.
Yeah,
I don't mind being compared to Ian. I think Ian's great, but at the same time, never excuse.
No one's excusing anything.
I know. Never try to blame something that it could be construed as an accident when it could be malice.
That's backwards. Hold on. That's
sorry.
Hold on.
Explain it, Tim.
Hanlon's razor is the opposite. Would prove malice. Would suggest malice is right. Never attribute to malice that which can be explained by incompetence.
Yes.
Thank you. You said that a lot better than I did.
But that would imply that Malice's argument is more likely true. I would just say one point on this. I agree a bit with you, Michael. And I'm not trying to argue with either of you. I think someone intentionally did this and intentionally did it for a long time.
No question.
And there are people who are supposed to be gatekeepers.
Right.
If hundreds of thousands or millions of ad viewers didn't even notice this, it's possible that the gatekeepers of these companies don't notice this stuff either, but someone is intentionally doing
And also,
it.
if you look at Hollywood history, like there were a lot of gay references that were meant there for gay audiences, whereas the straight people watching this and the executives would be completely oblivious. And there's college course about this where they go back and deconstruct these old movies.
The higher you go up in a lot of these bigger institutions, especially corporations, the more likelihood that there's going to be a sociopath in them.
Yes.
So on that assessment and in the absence of evidence, I'm going to assume the worst, mainly because I know what they're capable of. And I think we should, from a point of view, not excusing their behavior, but at the same time saying, hey, they have a long history here. Let's get the evidence here, because they probably are doing some of the most awful, sinister, horrible things that you can't even fathom and imagine yourself.
Look, you're talking to me. Who are you perceiving as excusing this behavior?
No. I'm saying the suits that just were not aware of it.
But that's not an excuse. That's an explanation. If you are if you're signing off on something,
but that allows them, but that gives them a way to say, oh, we just didn't know. Yes, absolutely, we didn't know. We just didn't see this happening. I don't want to even give them that.
But I think where you and I disagree, and let's take away from Balenciaga, is if you look at, let's suppose, the Senate, right, or politicians, a lot of these people in power are not very bright. And a lot of times it's their staffs that are doing these malevolent things and are putting things over on the American people, things in terms of war. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so hopeful, is because when you look at the people who tend to be in power, they're really often very unimpressive.
Yeah, I think they use that as a way to cover their larger actions.
You think Biden knows what the hell's going on?
Absolutely not. He's a
Okay.
puppet, and
That's
I think
all- okay.
there's bigger controllers and there's
That's all I'm
bigger
saying.
interests
We're on the
right
same
behind
page.
him.
That's-
Okay. Sorry.
Well,
for
it sounds like you guys are both right. It was both malice and incompetence. At
No.
some level, people were maliciously
listen,
putting child
I say
porn in.
100% malice.
I did it.
Zero incompetence.
I did it. I got away with it, and I'll do it again.
So this is interesting conversation. I used to call them minor attracted people because I'm like, well, I want to be sensitive about this whatever
Oh my
delusion or
God.
whatever. And now I'm like, okay, pedophile. But the thing about pedophile is there's a big difference between a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old hooking up consensually and a
not what that
25-year-old and
means.
a
That's not-
9-year-old getting it on. When the 9-year-old doesn't know what's happening.
But Ian, that's just with all due
But
respect.
they're both considered
you're-
pedophiles.
No, they're not.
Well, I mean, if one's
They're not.
a
There's something
consensual
called- hold on.
statutory rape.
No, okay, listen, Ian. There's something called Romeo and Juliet laws.
Yes.
A
Okay,
20-year-old,
then like 15 years old or 16 years old, wherever it's not
and
legal in
and
the
then
state.
there's another word for that, I
What, a
guess.
phebophile?
I guess. I don't know.
But
Whenever you see that word written on the internet, run away from the hills.
Exactly.
Right.
You're
What's-
like, I get it. At that point, it's like, it doesn't matter. My point is, if two young people are within three or 4 years of age, many states say that's protected, depending. Like, I think in some of the states, they have these like 13 is the limit or 14 is the limit. So basically between 14 and 18 are shielded from these laws or whatever.
But it would be like-
or within 3 years of like 20. So if you're like a 20 and a 17-year-old.
So, like, if a 25-year-old and a 17-year-old consensually were hooking up, it's big difference than a 25-year-old and a 9-year-old.
No one's disagreeing with you, Ian.
So, but they're both called pedophiles. That's the problem with the word. It's
No,
so
they're not.
charged that if someone gets statutory rape accusation and they're 25
Ian,
and she's 17, or they're 23 and she's
17
17,
and 25 is not a pedophile.
well, a lot of people, I think, consider them, because they're considered minors, they consider them pedophiles, and that's dangerous.
I
to
agree
conflate
that
the
it's
term.
dangerous, but I think there was a New York Times article several years ago when they were looking at. This is going to be a darker episode than I expected.
well, why don't we get back on
Family-friendly
subject?
language.
Can I just let me just?
We were talking about yay
Maybe
and
like this-
politics.
Yeah, let's get to the fun stuff. You know, the Jews. There was a New York Times article. They were investigating child pornography, and according to that piece, whoever the FBI, I guess it was, didn't have enough staff to even handle the infants that were being in these videos. So the amount of very young stuff that's out there is profoundly disturbing. And I was going to write a book about this. I talked to my agent about it several years ago, and he's like, "Do you really want to be doing this research?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's good."
And there's multiple incidences of people coming to big platforms like Twitter a couple years ago and saying, hey, my photos here when I was underage are
Yes.
being leaked here. Twitter saying, oh, yeah, we'll do something about it. And then ignoring those
Can
people,
we talk about this Twitter?
screwing them over.
I'm
and then
now
at the
angry.
same time, now Twitter, for the first time, is saying we're going to be addressing this problem. And now the Apple App Store is threatening to cancel them. That's absolutely crazy.
This is the one. This is the you got me triggered. Now I'm going to go full Luke. Elon Musk, Eliza Blue, if you're out there, I think she's been on the show.
Yeah.
This has been her big issue, getting a CP off of Twitter. God bless her. This is something that is unambiguously a problem, something unambiguously horrific and evil, period, end of story. And a lot of times people who were in, as you said, were in these images or videos would contact Twitter, and Twitter shrugged their hands. Elon Musk took over, and he's like, all right, this is going to be like priority one. Like, this is a complete non-starter. This has got to go. We can worry about racism, homophobia, transphobia, gender pronouns, whatever. This is a problem. Forbes, who is an agent of the devil, wrote a tweet, an article that says, Elon Musk has tried to take on Twitter's child abuse nightmare, but according to experts, has only made it worse. And they tweeted it 9 times. I looked up how often Forbes had mentioned Twitter and children in the past. They've literally never even used those 2 words together previously. So now that Elon is trying to do something about it, Forbes has an issue with it, because they don't have an issue with it. They have an issue with Elon Musk. So this speaks to what Luke is saying, how many people there are in power who do not care about children at all, but who only care about power and who get off on having power over their people, including young children.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.